Chapter 4, Dream. Christmas Eve 1927, my sister, Sarah, and Harold tied their matrimonial knot in her sorority house. I was the bridesmaid standing up for her, and she was beautiful in her wedding gown. This was the wedding of my dreams, except it did not take place in a church. Because of regulations regarding living arrangements for single female teachers, I had lived with the Fisher family for several months. Their older son, Harvey, 18 years, had been accepted at West Point and had left home for the Point just 2 months before I became part of the Fisher family. Harvey had graduated from Dunsmuir High School in June 1927. He had been a member of my senior English class and took part in the school play and spring operetta. I came to know Harvey quite well. It was he who gave me my first man-to-woman kiss in the hall leading to my classroom, his football buddies cheering him on, his response after, and I'll never forget it, "Now you've been kissed." When I was the resident violinist at a YWCA conference at Asilomar by the Sea, the summer of 1928, I received a large box from Dunsmuir. Opening it, I found a note, "Shasta lilies picked just for you, love, Harvey." He stirred amorous feelings in me that I had never known before. Andrew Leach was Burton's closest friend. The love of his life was Eleanor Van Fossen, my dearest friend. Andrew was the manager of the Bank of Dunsmuir. In the fall of 1927, he urged Burton to go on a double date, saying that Eleanor would bring Reva, whom he had come to know through the bank. A little background information. When I began teaching, I also took on the responsibility of directing the school plays. The stage was in the front of the auditorium behind a curtain, while the floor of the auditorium was a regulation basketball court. In the evening, we would rehearse the play on the stage behind the closed curtains, while at the same time the town basketball team would be practicing on the other side of the curtain. I had heard of Bones Coon as the wonderful sportsman he was, but I had not met him. Well, one evening, while all my students were working on their lines, I quietly pulled back the curtain a wee bit to catch a glimpse of that fabled player. I saw Bones, a fine figure of a man, running down the court, and at that moment I was hooked. I had never met him until the four of us went on that fateful date. From that date on, Burton and I became a couple on a semi-regular basis, usually with the company of Andrew and Eleanor. All the next year, Burton courted me, quite often taking me places in Andrew's car. We could be found usually at every change of movie at the theater, and after we would stop at the Mossbrae Pharmacy for a piece of Nellie's scrumptious chocolate cake. Without Eleanor and Andrew, Burton and I would never have married, and when we finally did marry, Andrew was not the best man. I can guess, but truly I don't know why. During my spring vacation, 1929, Burton and I went by train to San Francisco to pick out an engagement ring and wedding band. Burton's younger brother, Boosie, was a student in my senior English class. On Monday after the spring vacation, in class with all his buddies, and knowing about the ring, he raised his hand. I had to recognize him. I should explain that I was very shy about my ring and had turned the stone to the palm of my hand, hoping no one would notice. I probably was blushing a deep rosy tint when Boosie spoke. He grinned and mischievously asked, "What's the matter with your hand, Miss Patrick?" Giggles and titters. "Did you hurt your hand? Let us see it." Then, of course, I had to show my hand and the ring. More giggles followed, but also lots of cheers. Alone with Burton while looking at my engagement ring, I shyly murmured, almost timorously, "Let's have a church wedding. Me in a bridal gown, 2 bridesmaids, Helen and Maxine, Dunsmuir High School juniors. Music and I—" Burton looked at me a little shocked and cut in, snapping, "With that sort of wedding, get yourself another groom. High school girls, no way." I brushed away welling tears, never to mention my dream wedding again. As I grew to know Burton better, I believe he might have agreed to a church, only maybe. There was no question that he loved me, though his first love was baseball. Shortly after that unhappy evening, I went to Medford to outfit myself for my wedding. First, we searched for a clergyman to perform the service. The only one we were able to contact was the Baptist minister. As was the 20s style, my dress was a white linen sheath that came to the knees. As I was dressing for my wedding, Doris fingered the jacket and, noticing that my ensemble was not all white, said, "People might talk." As I look back on that moment, there are many things I could have said, but then I was excited, thinking only of becoming Burton's wife. Love of this man at first sight welled up in my heart when first I saw him on the basketball court. My first and only love. My attendant was Doris, my sister-in-law, and Burton's best man was Zeke, his brother-in-law. Mounting the stairs to the church in the hot summer sun, we opened the massive door and walked into the cool quietness of the sanctuary. What an exciting moment for me. In the church, the organist was practicing music for Sunday. How lovely. I felt a chill as the minister pronounced us man and wife. Burton, taking my arm, ushered us out into the hot summer afternoon. Next, the wedding party had already agreed to visit a mutual friend, a stranger to me. There my husband, his sister, and brother-in-law had a lively, sometime jovial visit. I felt like a little church mouse squeezing into a corner, for never was I included in this robust reunion. Drawing me out of my corner, Burton said, "Now for dinner." At the Stagecoach Inn, we were served a sumptuous chicken dinner, so they said. I was not hungry, too excited. The haven for our wedding night was the newly constructed Medford Hotel. The next morning, after breakfast, we headed for home. Mandatory, for there was a baseball game the next day. I don't recall whether or not I attended the game to cheer on my husband, Bones to everyone, the county's baseball hero. 21 years later, I put my foot down and ordered, "Sunday you will not play, you will give your daughter away at her wedding." There was no argument. To my surprise, he gladly picked out a new suit. On June 25th, father and daughter walked down the garden path to where the minister was waiting. As we watched our lovely daughter being married, in my inner being I knew this was my dream wedding. The weaving process moves rather quickly for a few moments as it seems to take on new life, through and over, and the shuttle pulls hard, making a tighter fabric. And a new luster is clearly evident.